We're all a little bit weird, some far more than others. But a few people go well beyond everyday strangeness and land squarely in the territory of the truly bizarre. The physical traits, extreme conditions, or rare disorders they live with have made them impossible to ignore. From massive hips to one who may have eaten a baby out of unstoppable hunger, this list isn't about fictional beings. These are real individuals who push every limit of what most people think is possible. Number 15, Diara. Some people wait years for a break. Diara waited half her life. She was a teenager when a toothache turned into swelling, and then into a tumor that wouldn't stop growing. Her parents were small-scale farmers who scraped together what they could, but after endless hospital visits and no results, they gave up. Diara lived with the tumor into adulthood, missing out on daily life and avoiding crowds. After she became a mother, everything changed. She couldn't imagine her daughter growing up without her. In 2021, she heard on the radio that Mercy ships had returned to Dakar, offering free surgeries. She traveled 7 hours for a consultation and was approved. Surgeons removed the tumor and part of her jaw, inserting a metal plate. Later, a second surgery replaced it with bone. When she came home, her daughter couldn't stop touching her face. For the first time in years, Diara looked forward, not back. The tumor was gone. So was the fear. Number 14, Gail Applegren. Getting stared at never gets easier, but Gail learned to stop caring. She has neurofibromatosis, a rare genetic disorder that causes tumors to form all over the body. Kids mocked her, strangers whispered. One tumor on her chest was so big, she tucked it into her waistband. Still, Gail lived. She played sports, finished 2 degrees, and became a social worker. She'd had over 40 surgeries, but the tumors kept growing. She was happy, but never found someone who truly understood, until she met Tim. He had NF too. Fewer tumors, same isolation. When they finally spoke, the connection hit instantly. In 2014, they got married. Now they live in Edmonton with their dogs and work with the Alberta Tumor Foundation to educate others. Gail's had enough of hiding. She's not a condition, not bumpy Gail. She's just Gail. And with Tim beside her, she's living proof that confidence doesn't need perfect skin. It just needs someone who sees you fully. Number 13, Diogenes. Well, not much is known about Diogenes' early life, though speculation is plenty. What's certain is that he was one of the strangest minds ancient Greece ever produced. He was born in either 412 or 404 BC in Sinope, a remote colony, where he worked with his father minting coins until they were both exiled for debasing the metal content. He later drifted to Corinth and abandoned every possession except a rag and a bowl. He lived in a ceramic barrel, begged for scraps, and chose filth over status. Diogenes regularly crashed Plato's classes, chewing loudly to derail lectures and arguing publicly with him. He even relieved himself on Plato's stool inside the academy. He shared food with stray dogs and once publicly gave himself a good hand job as if it were nothing. And still, he gained a reputation for wisdom. When Alexander the Great asked what he could do for him, Diogenes, sunbathing, replied, "You could move out of my light." Number 12, Cheikh. Feeding a newborn should be simple, until it isn't. Cheikh was born with a cleft lip and palate, and couldn't breastfeed. Milk came out of his nose. He grew malnourished and severely underweight. His mother, Indai, quit her job to care for him, while his father tried to hold on to his teaching job, despite being shunned in their village. Shame crept in. People blamed Cheikh's condition on them. At 2 years old, Cheikh was still crawling and hadn't spoken. Then they heard about mercy ships. Before surgery, he needed to gain weight, so feeding coordinator Trina Laidlaw worked with him daily. 2 months later, Chake had grown strong enough for his first operation. The cleft lip was repaired, and with it, Ndai's hope returned. Though his palate repair had to wait, Ndai walked out of the hospital with her head high and her son in her arms. For the first time, she was ready to show him off to the world, not hide him from it. Number 11. Carl Tanzler. There's obsession, and then there's Carl Tanzler. A German-born radiologist in Florida, he became fixated on a 22-year-old tuberculosis patient named Maria Elena Hoyos. She died despite his desperate efforts to save her. After her burial, Tanzler, who alone had the key to her mausoleum, began nightly visits. 2 years later, he stole her body. For the next 7 years, he lived with her corpse. He patched her skin with wax, wired her bones together, stuffed her torso with rags, replaced her hair with a wig made from her own locks, and masked the smell with perfume. When her family found out, police confiscated the body. Tanzler was arrested, but charges were dropped because the statute of limitations expired. Some called him romantic. Most called him disturbed. Either way, he didn't see what he did as wrong. He saw it as love. And for 7 full years, that's exactly what he shared a bed with. What do you think about him? Number 10. Liu Ye. Well, it's a simple thing. People fall in love, get married, and share their lives. But Liu Ye from China decided that the only person who would never leave him was himself. In 2007, he married his own life-sized photo dressed in a wedding gown. The ceremony was public, complete with guests, banners, and traditional music. To most, it looked absurd, but to Liu, it was personal. He said it symbolized self-acceptance and the idea of completing himself instead of waiting for someone else to do it. Conservative by nature, he wanted to honor marriage traditions while rejecting the pressure to conform. The event followed every cultural ritual, from incense offerings to formal vows. Reactions ranged from laughter to disbelief, but Liu didn't flinch. His act blended loneliness, ritual, and rebellion into one strange statement, proof that love, even in solitude, can take unexpected forms. He didn't marry out of madness, he did it out of meaning. Number 9. Lord Byron. Lord Byron was born in 1788 with a deformed foot and far more wealth than he was meant to inherit. By age 10, he owned land, titles, and the income that came with it. He took to poetry early, mainly as a way to say whatever he wanted without facing real consequences. Byron's poems were soaked in arrogance. He used them to insult poets like Southey, Coleridge, and Whitman, whom he mocked as dull, talentless frauds. When Cambridge told him he couldn't keep dogs in his dorm, he got a bear. His private life was worse. After reconnecting with his half-sister Augusta, he impregnated her. He married an heiress anyway, but kept seeing Augusta, so his wife called him insane and left. Byron fled to Switzerland, hung around the Shelleys while Mary wrote Frankenstein, and may have been sleeping with Mary's sister. In Italy, he rewrote the Bible and let birds roam indoors. He died in Greece at 36, and that was the end. Number 8. Auguste. Some changes happen slowly, so slowly you don't notice until they consume you. Auguste was 51 when he spotted something on his cheek. By 64, it was a massive tumor that took over his mouth and face. A veteran, teacher, and former headmaster, he stopped leaving his house in daylight. Students feared him. Strangers avoided him. His community treated him like he was contagious. When mercy ships docked just 10 miles from his home, he took a chance. Surgeons removed the tumor, something routine in richer countries, but unavailable for decades in his. For the first time in 13 years, he looked in the mirror without shame. Back at his school, staff and students wept when they saw him. No one had taken his place. Enrollment had dropped. The halls were quiet. Auguste had returned to rebuild what was lost. His goal never changed: give kids an education strong enough to lift them out of poverty. And now, he could continue. Number 7. Pauline Potter. There comes a point where even the simplest things, like standing up, walking, and breathing, turn into battles. Pauline Potter reached that point when her weight soared to nearly 700 pounds, earning her a Guinness World Record as the heaviest living woman. Every movement was painful, and isolation took over her life. In 2015, she appeared on My 600-Pound Life, revealing the emotional wreckage behind her size, trauma, family tension, and decades of using food as protection. The show didn't make her a victim. It made her confront herself. With the help of bariatric surgery, strict supervision, and fierce persistence, she lost more than 500 pounds. The process wasn't graceful. She clashed with doctors and faced brutal criticism, but she kept going. Pauline eventually rebuilt her life from the ground up, physically and mentally. She's no longer a headline, just a woman who survived herself. Her transformation wasn't about vanity. It was about finally learning how to live again. So never give up on your dreams. Life is short, so live it. Number 6. The Toxic Lady. Most people who die in a hospital don't end up taking nurses down with them, but Gloria Ramirez did. On February 19, 1994, the 31-year-old arrived at General Hospital in Riverside, California, in serious distress, rapid heart rate, low blood pressure, and barely able to speak. Nurses removed her shirt and saw an odd, oily film on her skin. Her breath had a strange, fruity garlic odor. But what truly unsettled the staff was her blood. It smelled like ammonia, and manila-colored particles floated in it. Then people began collapsing. One nurse fainted. Another stopped breathing. A third experienced full-body tremors. Despite hazmat protocols, no clear cause was ever found. Ramirez died that same night. A string of autopsies pointed to kidney failure from late-stage cervical cancer, but never explained the mass hysteria and illness among medical staff. Gloria was nicknamed the Toxic Lady because simply being near her body triggered terrifying reactions. Her case still sits unsolved in medical history's weirdest corner. Number 5. Amanda Rogers. In 2014, Amanda Rogers, a 49-year-old British woman, married her dog, Sheba, in a symbolic ceremony held in Croatia. After years of failed relationships, Amanda said she found lasting love in her loyal pet. Sheba had always been there, comforting her, making her laugh, and offering the companionship she never got from people. Wearing white, Amanda kissed Sheba's paw and exchanged vows in front of around 200 guests. She emphasized that the ceremony wasn't legal. It was a heartfelt gesture honoring the emotional bond she shared with her dog. Amanda made it clear that Sheba gave her more stability and care than any human partner ever had. While many were shocked or amused, she stood by her choice. Years later, another woman, Elizabeth Hode, would also marry her dog on television, but Amanda's story still stands out. It wasn't about publicity or fame, it was about love, pure, loyal, and exactly what she needed. Number 4. Lu Jihao. Every child has something they crave, a toy, a game, a favorite snack. For little Lu from China, it was food, and nothing could stop him from eating. By age 3, he weighed 132 pounds, about 5 times the weight of a normal child. His appetite was endless. His parents tried diets, distractions, even locking food away, but Lou would cry until he was fed. Doctors ruled out hormonal problems, pointing instead to overfeeding and indulgence. His size limited everything. He couldn't climb stairs, play, or ride a bus without help. Experts said his case represented China's growing childhood obesity problem, fueled by one-child pampering and fast food culture. For Lou, it wasn't just about food. It was emotional comfort, attention, and habit rolled together. His story made headlines across the country, a symbol of how quickly love can turn into overindulgence. Lou's struggle became less about blame and more about the price of unchecked affection. Number 3. The real-life Emily Rose. Most teens struggle with identity. Anneliese Michel was told she had demons. Born in the 1960s Bavaria, she was devoutly Catholic, attending Mass twice a week. Things changed at 16 when she blacked out in school and began walking around dazed. Later, doctors diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, a disorder that can cause seizures, hallucinations, and hyper-religiosity. Medications didn't help. She began seeing demons, hearing voices that told her she was damned. She sought out priests for an exorcism. After initial refusal, Father Ernst Alt believed her and convinced a bishop to approve the ritual. Over 10 months, Anneliese endured 67 exorcisms. She said she was possessed by Lucifer, Cain, Hitler, Judas, and Nero. She broke her knees from prayer, stopped eating, and died of starvation on July 1st, 1976. Her parents and priests were convicted of negligent homicide, though none served time. Her death remains a brutal crossroads of religion, medicine, and mental health, and a mystery no side has fully explained. Number 2. Dan Maurer. Some people struggle to lose a few pounds. Dan spent years trying to lose an entire part of himself. Living in Michigan, he developed scrotal lymphedema, a rare condition that caused his scrotum to grow to nearly 100 pounds. The swelling became unbearable, leaving him nearly immobile. Doctors kept misdiagnosing it, assuming obesity, even as he lost weight. For 7 years, he lived trapped inside his own body. Then he saw a documentary about Wesley Warren, who had survived the same disorder, and reached out to Wesley's surgeon, Dr. Joel Gelman. In 2014, Dan underwent a 14-hour surgery that removed about 150 pounds of tissue from his abdomen and groin combined. The operation saved his life and his marriage. He walked again, smiled again, and lived again. Dan didn't chase fame. He wanted awareness. His story showed that even unbearable conditions can be beaten when someone refuses to accept them as permanent. Number 1. Sain Mumtaz. We all do whatever we can to keep our faces recognizable, but for Sain, that reflection never stops changing. Living in Pakistan, he was born with Proteus syndrome, a disorder so rare that only a few people worldwide are known to have it. His head, hands, and feet have continued to grow uncontrollably since childhood, distorting his body and making daily life painful. The condition can't be cured, only managed through surgeries that temporarily ease pressure and pain. Beyond the physical burden, Sain has endured years of judgment, loneliness, and heartbreak. Finding love remains his biggest dream, even as society treats him like an outcast. Still, he hasn't given up. Doctors can slow the growth but not stop it, yet he remains optimistic. His life is a constant test of strength, not pity. What sets Sain apart isn't his condition, It's the courage to keep facing a world that won't look back kindly. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.